Hello, 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 hello. Yes, it's the old git, and today I am the old git because the more I look at this stupid Labour, communist, Marxist government, the more I get angry. So I've got the old git hat on, and I want to go through a few things that makes me believe that eventually Mr. Starzy Starmer, 2TS Starmer, whatever name you want to call him, there's enough names for him, is trying to, how can I say, he's trying to get to a one-party system, one-party system where he can make it so that we'll never vote for another party again. And for me, he's becoming a real Marxist communist. So let me tell you the little signals that I've been getting that make me feel this way. First of all, if we go to this, let's have a look at this. Now you can see censorship of images was widespread in the Soviet Union. Visual censorship and was exploited in a political context, that is, particularly during the political purge of Joseph Stalin. Sorry, I gave my tongues twisted. We'll get into it in a minute. But when the Soviet Union government attempted to erase some of the purge figures from the Soviet history and took measures which included altering images and destroying film. Now, if you look at the two pictures, Stalin and cohorts, you see that on the second picture there's somebody missing. This was one of the ways that they used to erase people like this, and other ways too. And this brings me on to Keir Starmer. Now, this was one thing that they did in Russia, in the USSR at the time of the Soviet Union. They altered history, they removed people they didn't like, they took down pictures, things disappeared, and all of a sudden Keir Starmer has removed a portrait of William Gladstone. Well, you see all the pictures there with the crosses through. William Gladstone, Elizabeth I, Walter Raleigh, they've all gone from number 10. And the paintings of former PM, and the monarch and explorer as it was, appears to have been shifted. I mean, why would you do that? It's a public building, and it's timed, the way they've done it, it's marked the 125 years of the government collection of art. However, there have long been attacks by the left on people like Gladstone and his family for involvement in slavery, with calls for statues to be removed from civic buildings and renamed. Now, I think it's ridiculous. It's history. You can't change history, and it's not right that it's not celebrated. It's history. Do not change it. That's how it is. Elizabeth I is regarded as an early champion of trade, and while Raleigh was an early colonialist, and also reputed to have brought tobacco to England for the first time. And why do you want to cancel these? What, a Queen of England you want to cancel? You cannot do it. It's British history, it's UK, it's the history, it's the heartbeat of your country. I don't see any other country getting rid of their history. Anyway, two-tier Starzy Starmer admitted last month that he asked for the portrait of poor old Maggie Thatcher there to be relocated in number 10 because he doesn't like people staring down at him. He's mentally deranged in many ways. It's a portrait of a former leader which belongs in the building, and where it was okay. It doesn't need to be moved because he has a phobia of pictures. He thinks he's Harry Potter from Hogwarts or something, where all the pictures move and talk to him. Probably things like that. Also, I've just heard as well that Shakespeare's picture has been moved too. So, step number 1 in the Soviet Union, changing history, getting rid of people who didn't agree with you. What's happened to my camera? Oh, okay, let's go there. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. So as I told you, I do this all myself, and like I say, 71-year-old. It's a bit much, for an old brain like mine. But my brain works pretty well when it comes to all this stuff. So as I was saying, the thing is, the problem is that's what they were doing in Russia in Soviet times, and also it's happening with this man. Now, the next thing I want to move on to is freedom of speech. Now, let's have a look at freedom of speech, shall we? Let's do the Russian bit first. According to the Soviet Criminal Code, agitation or propaganda carried on for the purpose of weakening the Soviet authority, or circulating materials or literature that defamed the Soviet state and social system were punishable by imprisonment for a term of 2 to 5 years, and for a second offence, punishable of a term for 3 to 10 years. Now, why I've read that is why I'm reading this is it's the comparison between what Starmer's doing to our country, to your country, to the UK, and what the early things that happened in USSR, the early days, how they changed things. The Soviet authorities responded to dissident people who were dissident, confiscating all their literature and moving them from their jobs and prosecuting them and incarcerating them. Sometimes cases they put them in mental institutions and banishing them from remote regions of Russia, like the gulags or whatever they were called then, or stripping them of their citizenship and exiling them abroad. The most famous case of exile abroad was the Solzhenitsyn, I think that's how you say it, who was deported from the Soviet Union in 1974. So it still went on here not too many years ago. And I feel that our friend Mr. Putin is not far behind, in fact in front of what's still going on in Russia today. Now, let's look at how the Labour Stasi state is attacking free speech now. And again, make the comparison of what was happening in the USSR. After barely 2 months as Prime Minister, Starzy Starmer has already demonstrated his hostility to freedom of speech. When Elon Musk vocally criticised his handling of the UK riots, Starmer hit back directly on blaming the context shared on X, or as I still call it, Twitter, for the disruption. Now, again, how can you do that so quickly? I mean, whatever people say on any of the social medias, they say it, and maybe some of it shouldn't be said, but the freedom to say it should always be yours, because that's what your parents, grandparents and great-grandparents fought for. Freedom to use this. Freedom to say what you wanted to say. But he's chipping away at that, just like they did in the times of the Soviet Union when things started to change. He promised to review the social media law to prevent disorder. This would mean that the content that nebulously described legal as harmful would be subject to censorship from social media companies. Now again, this is the government saying, if we don't like it, you can't publish it. Again, they're taking away, in a way, the freedom of the press as well as the freedom of the people. Because if they deem it not to be, and they can deem anything they like, if they pass a law that, oh no, we don't like this, you can't say it, it's gone. Freedom of speech is going, it's been taken away. And what's more, and this really is something that makes me angry, Starzy Starmer, or Starzy Starmer, whatever you want to call him, has scrapped the incoming the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Act for 2023, which I think the Conservatives were putting through, that would have protected free speech in universities. He is getting rid of that. So again, all the lefty tutors and professors and whoever it is that teach these children this stupidity or the wokeness or the rest of it can continue to do so. Now, just on that subject, and in schools as well as universities, I believe that nothing should differ in regard to the education should be about reading, writing and arithmetic, as we used to call it, and the history of the country, and social studies for the UK, and social history. It should not involve all this other rubbish. And religion from school should be banned. Religion is a personal thing which should be left to the parents and to the children themselves to decide what religion they wanted to follow. Take it out of schools, take it out of universities, and an academic education is what you should be getting. This is what I think. Anyway, now, Starzy Starmer. I have trouble saying it. I think of the man and it riles me. Like the old USSR did in the past, release criminals to make room for people who said things that he didn't like. Use hurty words towards the chosen ones. His cabinet and all the rest. Well, we all know who they are. But again, if the pattern's there, prisoners were released in the former Soviet Union so that political prisoners could be housed. It's part of history. So already there's three similarities, important similarities, that are taking place in the UK. And your freedoms are being eroded more than you know. And just on the subject of him, why is he visiting China and all these outlandish places? Is he gone to China to say how good he is, how he believes in communism and all? We don't know why he goes there. It's ridiculous. He's travelled, I don't know how many air miles since he's been Prime Minister, and he seems not like to be at this dispatch box, and especially now that Kelly backing up. I will say her name eventually, but that woman can give him a hard time and ask the right questions. So they've put I think the Conservatives put somebody there that can challenge him. But anyway, we can talk about that another time. So let's look at another type of similarity that's going on that makes me think that the two-tier Starmer is trying to turn the country into a sort of communist country, which is already, it's quite obvious that he's Marxist, and it's quite obvious that he doesn't listen to anybody. So what else is he doing to take over your life, to control your life? State ownership. The Soviet Union introduced forced collectivization of agricultural sector between 1928 and 1940. During the ascension of Joseph Stalin, it began during and was part of a 5-year plan. It was called, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but it was called kolkhoz, Kolkhoz, in the former Soviet Union. That's what it's called, a cooperative of agricultural enterprises operated on state-owned land by peasants from a number of households who belonged to the collective and who were paid a salary. Well, they were salaried employees on the basis of the quality and quantity of labour contributed. Conceived as a voluntary, it was conceived as a voluntary union of peasants, the kolkhoz. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the state-owned farm. It became the dominant form of agriculture and enterprise as a result of the state program of the expropriation of private holdings embarked on in 1929. Operational control was maintained by the state authorities through the appointment of the kolkhoz chairman. He was nominally elected until 1958. So it went on for a long time. And through political units in the machine tractor stations, or as they call them, the MTSs, which provided heavy equipment to the kolkhoz in return for payment in kind of agricultural produce. Individual households were retained in the kolkhozy, and in 1935 they were allowed their own garden plots. Now, Starmer is already taking over public services. And it's more scary now, in a way, that he's treating the farmers, he's surely trying to make farmers give up their land to the government, so that he could hand it over to people like Ed Miliband to fill up with solar panels and wind farms, and then to open state farms, and the state farms were used to grow all the plant-based foods to make the idiot wokery happy. No meat and control what you eat. That's what they're going to do. Who do you think he's meeting in China? The President Xi, whatever his name is, probably to get some tips on how to run a totalitarian country. Borrow some tips, and probably he wants a new copy of his Marxist handbook. And that's it. That's what's happening. Again, another similarity there. They're taking over the land, or a private enterprise. They're taking over and putting it back into public ownership so they can control you. That's what I think is happening. Anyway, we'll move on. The next step in his procedure is the immigrants that are coming over, and as you can see, they're all young men of a fighting age. They outnumber our army right now. But that's not why they're here. They're here because, number one, if he makes them legal, he legalises them, he lets them join and come in the company, gives them the vote, then there'll never be another party voted in, because all these will say, oh, he brought us in, we don't want the others, they'll send us away. We've also got the rise in certain religions, or parts of religions. Not all the people from religion are the same, but let's say from Islamists who want to force their way, and they're looking at Sharia law. Again, a big threat to the country. London, I think white Caucasians are the minority, as they are in a few other places as well. The police are given orders from the top to protect these people. They send people who've said the hurty words to prison, or got involved in riots, or whatever it is. Not riots, but protests. And yet the others can go out and do what they like every Saturday and protest and, cool down. They actually went, and I was told today, into a shopping centre. I don't know where it was. I did see the video, where Santa Claus was already sitting, and children, and they were screaming at Santa Claus and scaring the children. Why are they allowed to do it when they send other people to prison for saying dirty words, or to sending a tweet? Freedom of speech for the UK is very important. Freedom of speech in Europe is very important. And the problem is that it's been taken away, as of many other things are. Starmer has now gone to Vietnam and places like that to give away your money again. He's travelling all over the world making a complete jackass of himself. Who he thinks he is, I don't know. He went to the COP meeting and took 400 people, paid for by the taxpayers' money, when there wasn't a significant leader that actually turned up at that meeting. But there he was. And what did the people who were there discuss? Oil and gas contracts. Well done, Starmer Barmer. What can I say? I don't want to say too much more, but I could give you more and more examples of how the country is being pushed towards communism. And I still say that Starmer's there doing a job because he's no politician. And sitting in the background, and I've said this and I keep on saying it, when he's done all the damage he can do, he'll step down. Jeremy Corbyn will be asked to cross the floor. They will elect him as the new leader. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your auntie, you're now in a communist state. It's frightening for me to think like that. Well, that's what I think. But that's why I had to put the old Gits hat on. Right, if you want to watch these videos, well, you could go to my website, www.bestbeforetv.com, and then you can watch TV there 24 hours a day as well. Or you can go to Rumble. I suggest you go to Rumble. It's a great site, freedom of speech, just like Elon Musk. And I'm so glad that Donald Trump got voted into America, because him will be our saving grace. And Elon Musk must continue doing what he's doing and protect freedom of speech on X and Twitter. He's a great man, and I think we need some great men to put the world to rights. But anyway, that's enough for today, isn't it? I hope I didn't bore you too much, but it's really rallying me up what's going on, and I just see that the path is going towards a communist state and the phasing out of the indigenous population of the UK. Okay, that's it for me today. I've had my rant, and hopefully you've enjoyed listening, and hopefully you can let me know your thoughts. Send me your thoughts too. You can go on Twitter and send them there to me. It's just at bestbefore4, bestbefore4, or you can send it to bestbeforetv@gmail.com, or through the website, whatever you want to do. Nice talking to you. Have a great day, and just think on. So what I say now is, that's it for now. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.